how to build a $5 million agency or not. Why did this presentation appear? Because we work with agencies from 1 or 2 people all the way up to 100, 200 people. And we keep being asked about what are the magic tricks? What's the secret tricks? Now, I don't think there are secret tricks in as much as follow these 7 steps to get to a 6-figure agency in 6 weeks or your money back. I think that's kind of disingenuous because I think there's lots of different ways of making this happen. However, we can look at what people shouldn't do, the mistakes we've seen people doing, and then we can flip that around. And I want to give you 3 quick case studies at the end to show you how people do it. All in 25 minutes. This is going to go very, very quickly. If you want to know more, come back to me afterwards. Feel free to talk to me afterwards, but let's just get on and actually get to the nitty-gritty of it. And rather than giving a big reveal at the end, the big secret, I think I should tell you what I'm going to tell you at the end. What I'm going to tell you at the end is that hope is not a strategy. Okay, and what does that mean? It means that just thinking things are going to be okay, they won't be. The place to start, if there's one thing I wanted you to do, nothing else that you did, that would be that you would start with positioning your agency and the brand and the purpose and who you work with and who you're competing with and what makes you different. Positioning is the thing that nearly every agency we come across, we're working with 150, 200 at the moment, it's nearly always the problem that they haven't resolved, the thing that keeps them awake at night. I'd also say build a business you want in the future, then start with the end in mind. Don't build the agency that you are now and try to make it a bit better. So you need to be thinking further ahead from where you are. You need to have great strategy. Where the hell are we going? Great people, great marketing. How on earth do we sell this stuff? And great systems. And you probably need some external help. And the question I'm going to leave hanging is, what's the real challenge here? If it's that easy, what's the real problem? Okay. So behaviors of the underperformance and what happens when you get it right is another way of looking at what we're saying. So let's just talk about the behaviors of underperformers. So underperforming means you're not achieving what you hope to achieve. Most of us feel like that. Or you're growing slower than those high performing people all around you who seem to be driving in Porsches and doing so well. Or alternatively, if you've got a model that's entirely exposed to risk from the outside, you're feeling, oh my God, we've got economic recession coming. Oh my God, we've survived COVID, but now we've got a recession. How are we going to get through that? I still ask that question, what's the real challenge here? But that's what we're talking about when we say underperforming. So that's what's happening when people underperform. So 7 behaviors of underperforming agencies. Nice and easy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You can read them. People avoid the numbers, they boil the ocean, they run while they're looking at their feet. Hope as a marketing strategy. And I'd actually argue that it's those first 4 are the ones that really matter. I mean, we can make the list longer. I mean, there's the first 4, which are the ones that we see. So let's just go for avoiding the numbers. What does that mean? So agencies either don't have the numbers to hand. What's your turnover? What's your net profit? What's your blended cost of blended charge out rates? What's it cost for you to deliver an hour of work? They either don't have those numbers at hand or they avoid looking at them. Decisions are made on gut feel alone. They don't understand that a business is made up of financial performance, that ball there, marketing performance, that ball there, operations performance, that ball there. And the finance is a consequence of how good you are at marketing and operations. It is like a juggle. Finance, let's be really clever. Your financial performance is a consequence of how good you are at marketing, getting the customers, and operations, which is doing the doing. It's a juggle. 1, 2, 3, and so on and so forth. It's a juggle. But the issue is that finance isn't really a ball of equal size. Finance is more like juggling with one of these big knives like this. And the reason it's like juggling with a knife is because we're petrified of getting it wrong. We're petrified of dropping it. And the other thing is everyone blinking well talks about finance, the consultants, the accountants, the business schools, everyone goes on about finance. But as I said, finance is a consequence of how good you are at marketing and operations. So let's just think what this means about the numbers. If I were you, okay, I would track time and understand gross margin. Gross margin is the difference between what it costs you to deliver something and what you sell it for. Gross margin. I'd understand utilization. What is utilization? Utilization is of the hours you've got in a week for all your people, how many hours are available to sell? And of those hours that are available to sell, how many of them actually get sold? You know, so that's a number. And you want to track those like a heartbeat, okay? Because for every hour that you're not delivering is time wasted. I would get either, depending on your size, a good FD, finance director, or a good accountant, but someone who understands the numbers, and I'd create a business management dashboard. Then we'd have board meetings, whether you're a one-person agency, 10 or 100. Once a month, sit down. How was last month? What's next month going to be? What do we need to do? What decisions need to be made? Working on the business. So I'd be making deliberate, educated decisions based on the numbers from last month. And then I'd make more. And then I'd probably fix the underperformers. You've got underperforming staff, you've got underperforming customers, you've got underperforming products, and I'd fix them or I'd sack them. So that's behavior one. Behavior two is trying to boil the ocean. I've been guilty of this, okay? You try and do everything for everyone all the time. Yeah, please don't do that. You will just be in an early grave, okay? They want it all, so they try a lot of things. They're always busy, but they're never great at anything. They're not great at delivery. They're not great at profit. They're not great at teams. The list goes on and on and on and on and on and on. Boiling the ocean is this belief that you can do everything quite well and you'll be thanked for it, but you won't. So if I were you, think about who you're going to work with. This is marketing 101. You know, niche down. Don't work for everyone. You can't. I was speaking to someone this morning. He's working with charities. He's working with government departments. He's working with small businesses. He's working with NGOs, non-government organizations. He's working. The list goes on and on and on. And you can't service all those people, especially when you're small. I would deliver fewer services and do it better. The trouble with running an agency, if it's a 5-person agency and it's a web dev agency and one of you goes on holiday and that happens to be the person who does the graphics and the pictures, you can't do anything until they come back. So you need to simplify the business as much as you can to as few services as possible, recruit experts in their field, move from hourly pricing, please. If you're charging hourly pricing, it isn't the way forward. Why? Because clients will say, oh, we had a phone call. I thought it was only 20 minutes. And they start being really, really picky about what you do. Move to project-based pricing or project-based pricing. And if we get it done quickly, we'll give you a discount or a rebate. But hourly pricing is really, really dangerous. And look, if you can, in the ideal world, 80% retainers, 20% projects, and relish the opportunity to say no, we can't do that. No, we're not the right people, but I can recommend someone else to do that. SEO is really interesting, but it's not what we're really good at. We're really good at PPC. But you know, really, really think about what you want to do and what you don't want to do. Put loads of questions in the chat. I'm not going to read them now, but we'll take them at the end. So then you can become awesome. Then you can improve service delivery, become more profitable. Then you can implement a super tight marketing strategy. Behavior 3 is running while looking at their feet, just being so determined to do everything, but they're just not looking up and looking round at the outside world. They focus what's going on with them. Do you want to talk about strategy in the incoming recession? Oh, we'll talk about it later. Do you want to talk about cash flow and the fact that you've not got a lot of cash? Oh, we'll do that next month. I got some work to do right now. Do you want to talk about the fact that your number one member of staff is pregnant, is about to take a year off work? Oh, something will happen. It'll sort it out. These people, they stall, the flame dims, they die. Back to the hope is not a method. Yeah. So if I was you, just think. Just make a decision. Is this a hobby, which is fine? Is it a job, which is fine? or is it a business? Yeah. If it's a hobby, just do it and enjoy it and make sure you cover your costs. If it's a job, that's okay. That's fine. You can run an agency quite happily, taking $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year out of it, just moving along. Or is it a business that you're trying to grow, in which case you become a business grower? If you want to grow the business, then there needs to be a strategy, a plan in place, and there needs to be a vision that you and your people can get behind, you can get excited about. You need to create a way of making decisions and start putting in place OKRs, which is objectives and key results. All the big people have objectives for each person, maybe 3 of them, and they have key results for each of those objectives that people work to. So it's not like herding cats. There's a structure. This is what we want to do. This is what we need to do to make it happen. And now we're going to make it happen. And just think carefully about the time that you spend, and then you try and spend as much time as you can working on the business, not in the business. If you want to grow the business, if you want the business to grow, it almost certainly will not grow if you're working in the business all the time. If you're selling your time all the time, you haven't got time to do joint ventures. You haven't got time to think about the best, most effective way of doing things. You haven't got time to help your team. So you need to start getting out of delivery and into running the business, and think profit first. Put the profit first. And talk about this afterwards. The methodology where the first thing you write down is the profit that you want to take out of the business, and then you work backwards from your income, but you take the profit out of the business first, right? Otherwise, you get to the end of the year and there's no profit, you've got no money. So while you're looking at the horizon, think about what you're going to do over the year, quarterly, and how you're going to make it successful. Number 4 is believing that hope is a marketing strategy. Hope is not a method, okay? These people are addicted to referrals. You know, they watch the phone and somehow the phone normally rings, but they really fear that the day that referrals will dry up, because you know, it's just not a method, hoping that marketing will work. They don't even understand what marketing is, which is ironic for agencies. So hope is a strategy. What you're doing in effect is you're picking the low-hanging fruit, but you're not watering the tree. So you need to water the tree, which is proper marketing, making sure you've got people to talk to who are interested in you, who will talk to you later. Again, another thing we can talk about afterward is understanding when you talk to people, are they strangers? Nearly all of you are strangers to me. By the end of today, some of you will become friends, and maybe beyond that, and apologies for the inappropriateness of the story, maybe some of you become clients, which is what I would term as lovers. Yeah. What we do with marketing is we spend most of our time looking for strangers to buy from us who don't know who we are, what we do, what we make, how we make it. Okay. And then we've got these lovers who buy from us, who are our ambassadors. Most people spend 85% of their marketing trying to talk to strangers, and maybe 10% talking to their friends, and maybe 5% talking to lovers. Totally the wrong way around. You should spend 85% of your time talking to your lovers, who are your ambassadors, who know you, who love you, who... Right. Most agencies are like this. They wait for the phone to ring, which means they're only as good as their last job. Investors aren't interested. They never become real businesses. So if I was you, put in the budget for marketing, hire someone in charge of marketing, develop a SOSTAC marketing strategy. We can talk about it afterwards. Track cost of customer acquisition, probably the most important number you need. And then make sure you've got someone who's running the marketing and refiner something. And so those are the big 4 for me. And then 5, 6, 7, over-reliance on trust. People think their values, everyone else will be the same as me, but of course they're not. So what happens, what you need to do is define who the great people are. You need to put systems in place so that people will deliver. So you know what your people are going to do. And that'll then mean that you can manage your people for them to deliver. It's like, you know, creating a little system of things which will actually happen. Fixed mindset. Want to do it on their own. I'm the leader. I can do it. No one can tell me how to make better decisions. I know what I'm doing, but actually they make really bad decisions. They don't recruit people better themselves. So watch the Benny Brown TED Talk. Get yourself a coach. Start reporting to other people. And then you can start running the business, the agency rather, like a business. And habit 7 is happy being average, just tolerating mediocrity, tolerating people coming in late. You know, you want to grow fast, but you don't really think about quality. And so you lose out to better business. So if I were you, map that customer journey. Think about being brilliant step by step. I know there's lots of pieces in the jigsaw puzzle, but start with one and then the next and then the next, just progressively doing it. You can't do it all at the same time. And then treat every client like they are brilliant and awesome. You know, treat them like they're celebrities. How would you behave if the Foo Fighters came to you and said they wanted to be a client? What would you do? You clean everything, you have fresh coffee, you have flowers everywhere, you make sure everything is spot on. Do that for all your clients. And measure, again, we can talk about afterwards if you're not sure what it is, Net Promoter Score. What would people recommend your service to a colleague? It's as simple as that. So those are the 7 behaviors. The top 4 are the ones to really watch out for. Avoid the numbers, boil the ocean, run while looking at their feet, and hope as a marketing strategy. So what's the real challenge here? Well, the real challenge, my friends, is we're working with a reptile brain. Yeah. Let me just explain to you. The reptile brain, you may not be able to hear me, but here we go. So the reptile brain, is asking 2 things. It's asking, am I safe? And is it interesting? Am I safe and is it interesting? Your clients are asking the same thing. We all have this reptile brain. We're all thinking, am I safe? Is it interesting? As a result, you don't do the dull, boring stuff. What you've probably picked out from the presentation is that it's the dull, boring stuff that actually makes you successful. No instant rewards there, my friends. And breathe. So you need to do, not do the dull, boring stuff, the systems, the processes, customer journey. You need to recognize there are no instant rewards, but that's how you make it happen. Just remember this. Amygdala, the reptile brain, it doesn't want anything to freak it out. And if nothing freaks it out and it's already boring, then it falls asleep. Right, so let's talk about when you get it right, okay? I'm going to give you 3 agencies. All of these agencies were between 5 and 8 people when I met them 4 or 5 years ago. So they are exceptional. So I'm not saying this happens to everyone. I'm just want to point out the story. The names have been changed to protect the innocent, and the photos are not the original people. So the first one, so apologize if I get the name wrong, but let me try and keep it right. Tim Cottrell from K & Company, paid media and search. Did it for anyone? Now they only do it for e-com brands. They were at about 800K turnover. They're now 3.2 million in 18 months. COVID was awesome for them. COVID was the best thing that could ever happen to them. They went from 8 to 28 people. And now he's selling 3/4 of the business for £3.5 million, which is about $4 million. How did he do it? Single service. Now, the point about the 3 case studies is they're all very different. There's not one way to do it. Single service, single market, one strategy called Project Love. Key partnerships, a pod-based process. So you create a pod of 5 people, then you create another pod, then you create another pod, and really heavily into event-based marketing, working with Google. The behaviors was slow and steady wins the race. He believed in the vision. He'd read the book Atomic Habits about 10 times, which is about the weightlifter that wins is the one who's happy just doing the dull stuff, just repetitively doing the same thing and seeing incremental changes. It's not exciting. It's just going to the gym every day and eating 8,000 calories every day. He said no more than yes. He recruited a tribe like him, so that everyone knew their thing with vision. So that's K & Company. Second one's Peter Spencer from Journey. They are now a £10 million digital transformation agency, which sounds very flash, 120 people, but they were eight people probably 2018, 2017. He had this wake-up call, oh, this is very dull. If I'm going to ever make any money, I need to run a real business. And he put in place systems everywhere, a system for a meeting, a system for the diary, a system for measuring, a system, everything has a system, Process Street, everywhere. He invested in a board once he could afford it, and he would change the offer as the customers changed. And once he got to 70, 80 people, he started buying small partners, okay? And he worked the Ansoff matrix. Ansoff matrix talks about you can grow the business by selling into different products, selling into different markets, or you can sell different services, or you can do a combination of the two. So what he's done is he's stayed with the same basic clients, but he's gone back in and sold different services, PPC, and then back office inventory management, and then UX. So he just kept on going back in to the same people, but selling different products and services to them. And the behavior, you went from a lifestyle hobby business to, okay, my focus is on growth. They went from being agency owners to becoming corporate kind of directors and shareholders. They become very grown up, and rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse. Another really interesting thing, there were two of them. Nearly all great businesses have two people in it. So so this is, one of them's a visionary. You know, I like the look of that cat. One of them is the visionary, which is the person who goes out, does joint ventures, creates great deals. And the other one was an instigator, the one who got stuff done. Okay, so one person very creative and one person making sure stuff happened. And they were obsessed with strategy marketing teams. And the final one, Davo, this is D. Her journey was 8 to 65 people, paid media only, again, obsessed with telesales. When I first met them, they had 4 people in telesales, and I told them that that wouldn't work. So every Monday and Tuesday, they look at businesses which are struggling on the internet. They look at their website, they phone them up, they get a phone call in on Wednesdays and Thursdays, and Fridays they close the deals. Shouldn't work. People don't buy premium products from telesales, but in their instance, it does work. It's a volume piece. They're very lucky they're in the outback of the UK, paying very low wages. But it's a business that they enjoy doing. They are sales obsessed. They measure sales hourly, daily, weekly. They know that it's just a numbers game if they can hit the phones, and if they can make 100 phone calls a day, they'll get 10 conversations, they'll get 4 appointments, and from 4 appointments they'll get 1 piece of work. They had 4 people doing it, now they've got 8 people doing it. You can do the maths. And they just stick in and again, I mentioned Ansoff again, they stay in the top left-hand corner, doing the same product, same service, same product, same service, same service. So if I were you, I'm coming near to the end now, right now, I'd put your prices up. If you want to argue with me about that afterwards, let's do that. I would screw your supplier's feet to the ground, and I'd fix and sack underperforming client, supplier, service, and staff. And I'd do it in that order. Tomorrow, I'd work out what your gross margin is, what your profit is on anything that you do, and I'd fix or drop anything that's less than 50%. And next week, I would be more niche, do lots of marketing, systems and processes, systems and processes, systems and processes, systems and processes for everything. And I'd stop employing mediocre people. So what are the key messages? Hope is not a message. Hope is not a strategy. Start with your positioning. Who are we? What do we sell to whom? What makes us different from the rest? Why? My question to you is going to be, why should people bother to buy from you when they can buy from the competition? Build the business you want. Build the business you want in 3 years' time. Put the processes in place for 3 years' time. Charge what you should be charging in 3 years' time. Start selling to the people you want to be working with in 3 years' time. Don't just work the agency you've got now. You need to try and get a great strategy. What strategy? Where are we now? Where are we going? Bearing in mind what's going on in the outside world. You need great people, not people all like you. You need to be really good at marketing, selling, and lots of systems in place. And you need to get some external help. You can't do this on your own. One of the things that came out of the research we did with Google is that great people hold hands with someone to help them go to the next stage. So there's the map, there's the choices. I think if there's one thing I'm going to say to you, it's sort your proposition. If there's just one word that we're going to sum up today by, proposition. Thank you very much for listening.
Wow, thanks a lot, Robert, and spot on the 30th minute mark. Guys, we're gonna jump into Q&A now. If you have a question, that's something you're struggling with in your agency right now, this is your chance to get Robert to consult for you for free. So drop them in the chat and I'll pick them out. So we have two already, Robert, from the audience. They're based on some of the points you already made. So Kyle, you mentioned you recommend that agencies niche down on their on one type of customer, on one niche. Kyle is asking, is it wise to work with anyone when starting out, like just to get traction, experience, etc., and then pivot?
Yeah, great question. I think if you're sub 2 or 3 people, if you're on your own or you're just 2 or 3 people, the conversation is very different from if you're 15 people. It's very different from if you're 50 people. And I think the great advantage of being really small is you can flip flap, go any which way that you want really quickly. But you want to be known for something as soon as you can. So if you can turn up to your local networking event and you're known as the guy or the gal that does websites for sports companies, or the guy or the gal that does websites for solicitors and accountants and lawyers, you're way more memorable than if you're just a guy or the gal that will kind of do anything to do with websites. So it's always better to have some, yeah, I get it. Day one, I need to pay the rent. There's a piece of work, I'll go and do it. But there's always a danger that you kind of get known for doing anything, and the most precious asset I think you have is your reputation, and you want people, and you want to try and balance that need for that first wage with the fact that you don't want to get known for doing rubbish work. So when you're in early days, you're trying out different stuff. You don't quite know what really works really well. You don't quite know what area works really well, but slowly but quickly, and as quickly as you can, try and narrow it down. I mean, for me, I've always said I'll only work with people that I'd let babysit the kids. I mean, that's always been my criterion. And that's kind of a good starting point. And then, for me, normally I've not been best with raw startups, people who've never run a business, never employed a business. I'm better with people who are starting to employ people. So it's about working out and leaning into the stuff that you're good at. I think that's the thing, leaning into stuff that you're good at.
Nice. Yeah, makes sense. We're going to move on to a question from Jose about the pricing model. So do you have any recommendation for a healthy transition from hourly pricing to other revenue models? And I guess a follow-up question from me, what model do you recommend generally?
Okay, let's work this one backwards. Why do I not like hourly pricing? I don't like hourly pricing because you're taking none of the risk. So you're just like a painter or a decorator who says, well, I don't know how long it will take to paint the house, maybe 50 hours, 60 hours, but it's $20 an hour. Whereas if you said, and I can't do the maths quickly enough, but if you said it's $1,200, you'd be engaged at getting it done quickly, not spending too long doing it. Same thing applies. People don't like buying at an hourly rate because, firstly, they'll start to challenge the time that you take to do stuff, but also they'll maybe want you to cut corners that you maybe don't want to actually have cut. So hourly pricing is really bad. what's good about fixed price, you know, you want a website or you want an email campaign or you want to do PPC for me, whatever it is, you either give a figure of it, it'll be $300 a month or the website will be $3,000. And in return for that, this is what you're going to get is if the offer to them delivers the value that they want, then they won't care about the hourly rate. Yeah. So if I could say to you, I can make your business, I can find your business 1,000 clicks a month, and it's going to cost you $1,000. I'm going to go, oh, that's a dollar a click. That seems like quite good value. Job done. And whether it takes me an hour to find those 1,000 clicks or 100 hours isn't the issue for the client. So as soon as you get onto this hourly rate thing, as soon as you say it's $50 an hour, they're going to go, there's someone up the road who does it for $45 and you're just the same as them. So if you can do it for 44, you get the piece of work and you're starting to be negotiated. If on the other hand, you'd said for the piece of work that you want, it's going to be $3,000. They go, oh, that feels a bit rich. Well, look, this is what you're going to get. This is what you're going to get. But more importantly, this is what it'll do for you. This is what it'll do for you. This is what it'll do for you. So you're selling benefits all the time. You're changing the conversation from units of time to units of delivery. So what are you selling? You're selling the deliverable, not the inputs. What are you selling? You're selling, in some senses, you're selling the sizzle, not the steak. But what you're actually doing is you're saying, this is the value that I'm going to add to you by you paying me this amount of money. And it's a better conversation. And if things aren't right, you can add some more time into it. And if you do it really, really quickly, you can go back to the client and say, we had thought it was going to take us, you know, a week and a half, but it only took us a week. So the bill isn't $3,500. The bill's only $2,500. They will tell everyone about that. So was that both bits of the question? I'm not sure. I think it was.
Jose, you can confirm or deny in the chat. I have a follow-up question, actually. Last time we had a successful agency owner who was really bullish on performance-based model where you guarantee performance. What do you think about that? Would you recommend that?
I love it. I love it. And most agency people hate it. You know, I stood up at a very famous search engine company that does advertising and said, it costs me $500 to get a meeting, to get a good meeting with a prospective client for consulting. If you can get me a meeting for $495, I will give you $495 every day of the week. In fact, I'll give it to you every hour of every day of the week if you can do it cheaper than the $500. And they all went, oh yeah, we know our stuff. And then they all walked out and went and got coffee and no one spoke to me, which suggests that they didn't have confidence in their product or service that they could find me a hot marketing qualified lead for $495. When you do performance marketing, it's brilliant for the client because the client knows exactly what they're paying for what they're getting, $1,000 for 1,000 clicks. The problem you have as an agency is how that's measured and how responsible you are for what happens. So as a client, I would like to pay for the number of sales I make. You know, I will pay you for the number of sales I make as a result of your campaign. The problem here is you have no control over my website and my product and my salespeople and how I collect money. So the difficulty of proper performance-based payment is the accounting. And that's why most people come back to a more general price on deliverable, and then in early days come back to hourly pricing because it feels safe.
Very interesting. Okay, so how should agencies prepare in the event of a recession, a looming recession?
Great question. Well, we've just had one and we're about to have another one, by the way, guys. just in case you're under any illusions. It's the same as last time, which most people didn't do, you know, and this has been the truth forever. Nothing's changed. If you look at the research from Coopers and Brand, if you look at the research from Accenture, if you look at the research from Harvard Business Review, the people who do best after a recession are the people who invest in marketing in the recession, okay? What most people do is they say, what can we cut? We'll cut training, we'll cut marketing. There's no point doing any advertising because people aren't buying anything. So they kind of batten down the hatches. But the people who do really well are the ones who don't batten down the hatches because their head is above the water and they can be seen. They will get proportionately more business. And when they come out of the recession, they're the ones who will be remembered. During COVID, the first 2 months of COVID, every night we were doing webinars, getting 100 people every night in the room for free. And they used to go from 4 o'clock till about 7 or 8 o'clock at night. At 6, I used to go and get a bottle of wine and say I was now off duty. And the amount of custom we've got subsequently from being out there, from being there, from being available. Our job during COVID and our job now is to help our clients. We're in an unenviable position. Our job is to help our clients navigate uncertainty. It sounds like a pompous phrase, but we're helping them navigate uncertainty. They don't know what to do. All they know is their customers are spending less. Their costs are going up. How can they get out of it? You can show them incredibly effective ways of getting access to clients. And it doesn't have to be massively expensive. So we're back to marketing and proposition. And we're back to you helping clients by consulting, either free or charging consulting to help them run better businesses. All clients want is more better clients. They don't care how they get them. You think they want it all by digital marketing. They don't care whether it's putting pieces of paper on car windscreens or telesales. You can help them do that. And there's very few people out there saying, I'm here to help you navigate the difficult times ahead. So I'm not that I like recessions, but I think recession is a time of where you can demonstrate your value to clients.
Right. Well, that's one of those things everyone knows kind of the answer, but it's like hoping for a magic solution, but the magic solution is just get results for your clients.
Get results and get out there and talk to people and phone people up and say, I've not heard from you, times are tough, just tell me what's going on. I'm always amazed. We have a little system called 660, which is get an Excel spreadsheet, write the numbers 1 to 60 down one side, write down the names of the 10 or 15 people who you've spoken to recently or contracts you've lost or ex-clients, maybe 15 of them, phone them up and just say, just want to know how you are, what's going on, how you're dealing with the current situation. They'll eventually say, and what are you doing? Oh, we're currently doing masterminds and coaching and consulting for agencies. Oh, well, that's not, we can't help you on that. But I know someone, my brother-in-law might want to talk to you. You'll find that 15 names that you start off with will refer you on to other people. So within 6 weeks, you will do the 60 proper calls, proper lunches, coffees, proper Zoom calls, 60 people, 6 weeks, that's 2 a day. And you will get business out of it. Just, we forget, we're so digital. We think it's so clever doing everything on Zoom. We think it's so clever sending emails to 1,500 people at a time. My friends, pick up the bloody phone. I mean, just pick up the phone and talk to people. Go out for coffee with people. You can do that now and you will find, I know you hate it. The reason you're running an digital agency is because it's nice and safe behind here. But please, it's the common things that make people buy from you, talking to them, treating them like human beings.
Very interesting approach. That's definitely, I'm a marketer, right? That's definitely not the first thing I think. So okay, so last question, and the best one in my opinion. How do I know how good is my agency? If I where I'm at, basically.
Oh, how do I know how good my agency is? Oh, here we go. The quick route, if you recall, I pulled out these balls earlier on, juggling balls, okay? The health of the business is dependent on 4 things. I can only juggle with 3 balls, so I'll do it with 3. So Robert Craven says, finance is a consequence of marketing and operations. Okay, how good you are at getting people to buy from you, that's what I mean by marketing, and how good you are at delivering creates your financial performance. Okay, it's an average, and you can score your on a piece of paper right now. You can get yourself that piece of paper and put out a score out of 10 for your financial performance. Not how pretty you do your accounts look, but literally turnover, profit, cash. How good are your financial performance? Score out of 10, with 10's a high score, 0 is a low score. Marketing. How good are you at getting the people you want to buy from you? Score out of 10, with 10's a high score, 0 is a low score. There's lots of other stuff underneath it, but it's easy to do it just like this. And then operations. How good are you at doing the doing? Score out of 10. You will find, I can pretty much guarantee that your finance score, so over here, will be an average of your marketing and operations. And spoiler alert, most agencies score 6 for finance. It's all right, I've got a car, go on holiday, could be better. Operations, we'll go straight to operations. Most score 8 or 9. My God, I'm awesome. I go to all these conferences. I've listened to Robert Craven. I'm so brilliant. And then marketing, most agencies score about a 3 or a 4. Most agencies, ironically, are pants at doing this marketing thing. So if you want to improve your business, so that's it. So you then have your score. So every time you have a meeting, you just say, what are the scores on the doors? This week it's 6, 4, 8. Next week it's 6, 4.5, 8. The week after it's 6 1/4. Really simple scoring mechanism. Everyone can understand it on the back of an envelope. Now, underneath that top line score, you can then have gross margin, profit, net profit, increasing growth, and so on and so forth. But this process will get you just thinking about how good are we. And when you say to me, my finance score 6, I'm just going to say to you, that's interesting, Chloe. Why is it a 6 and not a 7? Is it a 6 and getting better? Is it 6 and worse? Is it a 6.5? What would a 7 look like? What would an 8 look like? And it just gets you to really think about how good your business is, and therefore what I need to improve next. The 4th ball underneath all this, it's like the unicycle that I'm on at the moment, is people and culture. Okay, so finance, marketing, operations, people and culture. Measure it every week, every month. Scores out of 10, scores on the doors.
It's a nice practical exercise for the board meeting you suggested, or the leadership meetings. Okay, awesome. So let's end it here. But Robert, where can people find out more about you?
Well, I'll put it into the chat. It'd be remiss of me if I didn't. So robertguider.co is how you can get hold of me, and please do feel free to. And the website, believe it or not, is guider.co. And I'd love to talk to you. I'm always interested to understand how people's businesses go. And obviously, we're always interested in to talk to people as clients for our mastermind groups and our consulting and our coaching. It's like we came up with this lovely, we're back to proposition, aren't we? We came up with this lovely word that we are like an incubator for agency leaders. I really like that.
I like that too. Very nice.
Yeah.
Speaking of your mastermind, Robert, I have a 3-month spot in the Gaia mastermind to give out. So I'm gonna send you guys details together with the recording. Any closing thoughts, Robert? Did you have something you wanted to offer the audience, or was that it?
I think so. One, I'd love to see you on the guide site and so on and so forth. We can explain what we do elsewhere. It's not for me to be here to tell you to sell to or anything like that. I think if there's one thing that we say to people, when we work with 200-300 agencies each year, and when we're in the pub talking about agencies, clients, not that we ever say that, it's like the 90% of the conversation is about they need to get their proposition sorted out. Clients don't know what they do, and they don't know what they do. They need to really think through, and this is Theodore Levitt, 1961, Harvard Business Review, 1961. Most of us weren't alive then. Yeah. Marketing is about segmentation, who are you selling to, and differentiation, what makes us different from the rest. Now, Christian's very kindly given me all of your phone numbers, and at 3 o'clock in the morning, coming up in your time, I'm going to phone up every one of you and say to you, why should people bother to buy from you when they can buy from the competition? And if you can't answer that question, I'm going to wait 10 minutes, then I'm going to phone again. I joke. Okay, I joke. But that is the question. Why should people bother to buy from you when they can buy from the competition? And I think it's really, really hard. But once we start to crack that, we feel more confident selling to people and talking to people, and our people know what we do, and I know what we do, and you know what we do, and everything becomes easier.